And welcome back to another episode of Cover 2 with Earl Knows It All today. You know what happened, folks? The Falcons played so bad, and I got him B. Woo, so horribly. I spanked him so good the last episode. He just couldn't take it. And then when he got the news that my quarterback, Matt Ryan, was back in the starting lineup for the Colts, he said, I just can't stomach this. I'm not feeling well. So I'm flying solo today, man. Anywho, we're going to get right to it, man. We're starting with the Blitz and a recap of Week 10. It's been a crazy couple games today, man. And we're going to give you a rundown. So we'll start with Thursday night, man. You heard the debate. You saw it. I gave B. Woo the business so bad that he decided not to show up for work today. Anywho, the Falcons lose to the Panthers on Thursday night. It was a horrible game, continuing the trend of just horrible games on Thursday nights, man. It's rough. It's what can you say? I'm not gonna even touch on that, man. We gave y'all enough content for the Falcons, and it's probably time for a change. But the thing that scares me is, like I said last week, if we haven't put Ritter in yet, maybe he just ain't the guy that we need, man. So, like I said, man, Falcons lose. They fall into, I guess, second place all by themselves right now with both the Panthers and the Saints right behind them right now at 3-7. So, we'll see what happens, man. They live to fight another day. Speaking of the NFC South, we will get into the Bucs going over to Germany and taking on the Seahawks. And the Bucs survived that game. Tom Brady had a great game. He was 22 for 29, 258 yards, 2 TDs, 1 pick. And actually, his interception, he came 4 passes short from breaking the NFL record set by Aaron Rodgers back in 2018 of 402 straight 402 straight attempts without an interception. Tom Brady's streak ended at 399. He threw an interception in this game to the Seahawks, and that ended his streak. But the Bucs do survive. Geno Smith, man, he wrote back, or he did not write back. Today he didn't write quick enough, or whatever the case was, because he was unable to bring the Seahawks back. They fall to 6-3 now, still leading the NFC West right now. But they lose that game. Opportunity for them to further distance themselves in the NFC West. I still think they're the best team in that division. San Fran will remain to see. This is, of course, being recorded on Sunday night, so before the San Fran against LA Chargers game. So we won't have the outcome of that for you when you're watching this. But we'll see what happens with San Fran and their, new weapons like Christian McCaffrey and what they're able to do. I don't trust Jimmy Garoppolo, so there's that. I trust Geno Smith more than Jimmy Garoppolo. So moving right along, the game of the day, and maybe the game of the season. I kept hearing announcers say this during the game. Of course, they like to hype stuff up, but you had the 6-2 Bills taking on the 7-1 Vikings. Potential Super Bowl matchup. We've been very quiet on this show about the Vikings. I put in my notes a couple times to talk about them, but I just we never got to them, man. And Kirk Cousins, earlier in the season, before the season started, I think Michael Irvin predicted that Kirk Cousins would win the MVP. Now, I don't believe that's going to happen, and I do actually think I was texting back and forth with B. Woo today and talking about this game, and I said, man, the Vikings look for real, but I don't trust Kirk Cousins. And, Kirk Cousins and the Vikings did win that game, though. They were down 24-10 at the half, and it was 27-23. The Buffalo Bills had the ball, I think, on their own 1 or 2 yard line, and they fumble the ball right before the end of regulation. They can just run the clock out in this game. They fumble it in the end zone. Ball is picked up by the Vikings, recover a touchdown to score. They take the lead 30-27. However, Buffalo does come back down. A bad call about a catch that probably wasn't a catch. They get a field goal, send the game to overtime, and in overtime, the Vikings kick a field goal to go ahead. And Josh Allen, unfortunately, turns the ball over again at the end of the game, and that does it for the Buffalo Bills. They actually fall into second place in the AFC East because Tua and the Dolphins, man. People talked about Tua, people counted him out. He had the horrific injury against the Bengals earlier this year, but believe it or not, the Dolphins are 7-0 now when Tua plays a full game and he is healthy. They're 7-0. and they win that game over the Browns. They spanked them today. Tua went, let's see, let me look at my notes here. Tua goes 25 for 32, 285 yards, 3 touchdowns, man, and looks phenomenal. Miami Dolphins may be the class of the AFC East right now. You know, we all have been on the Bills. They beat up on the Rams on opening night. The Rams have proven that they are not a for real legit team. So, you know, maybe we gave them a little bit more credit for that. They lost to the Dolphins this year in that game. Also, they have, like I said, they lost to. Actually, I think they beat the Chiefs. I can't remember that exactly, but yeah, it's been a kind of. They're kind of on a little bit of a downward spill now. They've won some games, but I think Buffalo or I don't want to say they're overrated, but they're in the dogfight now in that division, man. The Dolphins look like they're legit. They already have a game up on them, as well as they have the tiebreaker currently. So if they win the second meeting, the Dolphins at that point will be the team to beat in the AFC East, man. So, and of course, you still got the Jets. You still have even the I almost slipped up and said it. You still have that team in last place that's fighting too, up in the Northeast area. Moving right along, man. The Lions today come from behind to beat the Bears 31-30, but story in that game, man. Justin Fields, another big running day. He rushed for 147 yards and 2 TDs. He also added 2 more passing touchdowns in that game, and Justin Fields has now rushed for more yards in a 5-game span than any quarterback in the history of the NFL, man. Do what you will with that stat. If you like running quarterbacks, it's a phenomenal stat. Just anytime you've done something that nobody in the history of the game has ever done, you got to kind of big him up. But he seems to be turning the page a little bit as far as getting his groove and running the ball. But still a little shaky passing. He was 12 for 20. I think he had 130 yards, something like that. 2 passing touchdowns, but they got to work on that passing game, man, and the defense kind of let them down today. They let the Lions back into that game. Lions are a fun team, man. I give Dan Campbell a little bit of crap because he reminds me of the Falcons' old coach. I call him Dan Quinn 2.0 with all of his Hulk Hogan isms and Jeff Goldberg. Goldberg isms, where he is, saying, "Let's go, brother, let's do it." But they are an exciting team, man. Their defense is horrible, of course, but it's always a fun watch when you watch the Lions. You never know what's going to happen. You know it's going to be a lot of points put up. So, again, the Lions take that game over the Bears. Another team that is making noise, still in the Big Apple, man, Big Blue. Giants go 7-2. They beat up on the Texans. That's a game that, hey, what are you going to do, man? The Texans come to town. You probably better go ahead and write that W in ink. They've only got 1 win. They're one of the worst teams in the league. They kind of just playing this thing out, man, trying to rebuild. Got a great young rookie running back, but besides that, not much to see down there. But yeah, the Giants take a big win. My guy, Saquon Barkley, my fantasy running back, had a huge day today. 152 yards and a touchdown. They ran him 35 times. Slow down up there, BD. Daboll don't run my guy on the ground for the season though, man. I need him for the playoff push, okay? Y'all need him too. So, but earlier this week it was announced, I think earlier today maybe, that him and Saquon and the Giants actually had broken down contract talks. They were going to freeze it, maybe look at it at the end of the season at this point. So, despite that happening, my man still came out there and did his thing and ran the ball well. We'll just kind of go through these quick little hits. The Chiefs win their game over the Jaguars. Titans beat up on Russ. Russ is still not cooking. He has been kicked out of the kitchen. And both of those teams are still in first place. And this game don't even really bear talking about because, they're the Aints. So we ain't going to talk about them really. But they lose a game to the Steelers, who have been pretty bad this year, 20-10. In that game, a funny thing happened. It was like 1 million pitchers on the field, just signifying the ish that is the Saints. The Aints. Yeah, and just, how bad they stink, man. I'm sure there's a lot of poop on that field, and the Birds had poop on the field as well, not just the poopy Saints. In the battle of the backups, the Cardinals took on the Rams. No Kyler Murray, no Matthew Stafford. Cardinals win that game. I didn't watch a second of that game. If the starting quarterbacks would have played, I probably still want to watch the second of the game. I had no ties to it. None of their players in my fantasy. No money on any of the games. they got to play the game. So you got to play every team in the division twice. NFL has programming on Sundays. That's why that game happened, and we had to watch it. Anyway, moving right along. My guy, Jeff Saturday, man, comes off of the streets of the ESPN studios. And what does he do? Much to the dismay of B Woo and a lot of y'all haters out there, he says Matt Ryan is back in the starting lineup. And yeah, man, my guy Matt Ryan rushed for a 39-yard run in the fourth quarter when the Colts was down to push them towards a game-winning drive, man. What can you say? Matty Ice is back. The Colts are still in the running. And, all is well with the world, man. I don't care what y'all say. I read the comments. I know a lot of people hate on Matt Ryan. They say I'm a Matt Ryan apologist. I'm just saying the guy's the best quarterback in my team's history. Now, he ain't on my team anymore, so I really just do that to piss people off. But, Matt Ryan seems like a nice enough guy, I guess. So to see him get back out there and get a win, hey, man, Jeff Saturday came in with a plan, I guess, man. And the Raiders, we got to at some point talk about Josh McDaniels. We talked about last week how he's blown more 17-point leads than any Raiders coach in the history of coaches in that storied franchise's history. The last time Josh McDaniels, the boy wonder, was coaching in the NFL as a head coach, he had Tim Tebow and the Denver Broncos, and he ran that team in the ground. They started off hot and lost every game after that and got knocked right out of the playoffs, and he got knocked right back to New England. So, dang, I said New England. Pardon me. Anyway, I got to find myself for that. But Josh McDaniels is kind of, when you don't got Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, it's a little tough out there. And he actually does have a decent quarterback with, and some weapons. Like, you got Carr, who's a decent quarterback, was a playoff quarterback last year. You got Devontae Adams, who's one of the best, if not the best wide receiver in the league. He's definitely in the conversation for that. And, they stink right now. And that team is out in Vegas. You got players getting in trouble left and right. Guys putting assault rifles up saying they're going to kill the fans. It's just a big bowl of stink out there in Vegas, man. So I'm pretty sure soon enough people are going to, I guess because it's a tourist city, people probably will come to the games because it's something to do, but maybe they're going to start heading to the casinos, man, and start watching those guys because they stink right now. So that was, like I said, a big up to my guy Matt Ryan. He ran for a touchdown in his game. I didn't check the rest of his stats, but yeah, he did his thing. And right before I got on to record, the Green Bay Packers, I don't want to say congratulations to them, but I guess I will. They stopped their 5-game losing streak and beat the Cowboys. Pardon me, Cowgirls fans. And an overtime thriller. Came back from behind to win that game. I don't like either one of those teams. So, hey, Aaron Rodgers, whatever. I guess he was mad at LaFleur late in the game for not running it at the end of regulation and was yelling at him. If there was anybody else besides him and Tom Brady, the media would kill this guy for going after his coach like that. But I'm sure nobody will say anything since it's Aaron Rodgers. So, carry on, I guess. But the Green Bay Packers did win that game, man. That is our rundown of all of the action for Sunday. We'll be right back after this. And welcome back to Cover 2. This time with your boy Earl Knows It All, Ryan Solo. And we're going to get into our fantasy players of the day. For our quarterback, it was a few quarterbacks that had a good day. Pat Mahomes, the bad man, Pat Mahomes, had 30 points. I think Tua, like we said, threw for 285 yards and 3 TDs. He had 24 fantasy points. But Justin Fields with another running day. If you got a quarterback that can get some rushing yards, if you're picking up Justin Fields in your league, man, I'm sure he's probably not available at this